So today we're doing something a little different. We're not diving into data or a big news story. Instead, we're opening up something, well, something a lot more personal, a diary. This is a journey through 1 month in the life of someone recovering from a bone marrow transplant, and it really shows us the gap between healing your body and healing your mind.
And this one line from an entry on August 2nd just gets right to the heart of it. On one hand, I'm doing great, but on the other, I'm always so scared. That's the real conflict, the central tension we're going to unpack here.
Okay, so let's get a picture of what's happening. We're talking more than 500 days after a bone marrow transplant. The person writing this diary has just moved into a new home, and physically, they're feeling incredible. You know, moving is a huge stress for anyone, but they tackled it with tons of energy. That's a huge sign that, hey, they're feeling like a normal, healthy person again. But that's only one side of the coin.
And this really shows you the two different realities they're living with every single day. Physically, it's a massive win. There's energy, there's strength, a feeling of normalcy. But on the inside, it's a whole different story. It's this constant fight against that little voice in your head, that anxiety that the disease might come back. As the diary says, serenity? Yeah, that hasn't shown up yet.
And you know what really cranks up that fear? The hospital visits. Of course, these checkups are absolutely essential. They're a lifeline. But man, they are also a huge source of stress. Every single appointment is this moment where that fragile feeling of being normal could just shatter. And a big one, a bone marrow aspiration, is looming just 2 days away.
All right, so now the diary walks us through the actual day of the hospital visit. And let me tell you, this is not just some quick in and out appointment. It's an absolute marathon, a full day packed with tension, medical procedures, and just a whole lot of waiting.
Yeah, take a look at this timeline. It really drives home what a test of endurance this day is. We're talking nearly 9 hours, from leaving home before the sun is even up to finally getting back in the afternoon. And look at that gap between the procedures in the morning and that call from the doctor with the first results. That's hours of just sitting with your thoughts, waiting in total uncertainty.
Finally, at 1:30, the phone rings. And the first bit of news? It's a huge sigh of relief. The main blood counts, your white cells, hemoglobin, platelets, they all look great. Everything's in a good range. This is the first piece of positive news they've been desperate to hear all day. But the call wasn't over.
So just as that feeling of relief starts to settle in, the doctor drops a bombshell. It's a piece of news that just changes everything. An unexpected problem has popped up in those very same blood tests, and it completely shifts the entire focus of the recovery.
And this is it. This is the number that flips the script. 2,400. That's the ferritin level, which is basically a measure of how much iron is stored in your body. And 2,400, that is dangerously high. If you don't do something about it, it can cause serious, permanent damage to your liver and heart. So the bottom line is, a new treatment has to start like right now.
So this new treatment is called chelation therapy. And what it does, basically, is pull all that excess iron out of the body. It's a pretty standard therapy, but it can have its own side effects, and it means they'll need to be monitored way more often. So yeah, the journey just got a whole lot more complicated.
So think about it. You go from feeling relatively calm to suddenly being thrown back into this intense period of what if. Now you've got the fear of side effects from a new drug. You've got the hassle of going to the hospital more often, every 3 to 4 weeks. And the really big one, the most critical test results from the bone marrow. They're still out there, pending.
So for the next few weeks, that uncertainty is just everything. The diary's focus shifts from the shock of this new problem to the emotional grind of just waiting for the answers that matter most.
And these are the big ones, the results just hanging in the air. These aren't just random medical terms. No, each one of these represents a huge question mark about the future. The chimerism and molecular results are the absolute key. They're the ones that will tell them if the transplant is still holding and if there's even a microscopic trace of the disease left.
And really, that's what it all boils down to, right? After all this time, after finally feeling so good, is the disease actually gone? Or is it just hiding? You know, waiting for its chance to come back. That's the fear that just hangs over everything.
So right in the middle of all this anxiety, the diary talks about this really human thing they did to try and feel normal. They started planning a little vacation. But here's the kicker. It's a cancelable vacation. Every single booking can be refunded, no questions asked, after the big appointment on August 28th. I mean, what a perfect metaphor, right? You're planning for the future you're desperately hoping for, while keeping a safety net for the one you're terrified you might get.
And that right there,
That is the brutal, terrifying truth of this kind of recovery. Feeling healthy, having energy, looking like your old self, none of it means you're in the clear. The real story, as the diary reminds us, is hidden in lab results you can't see or feel.
So you've got weeks of waiting, of taking this new medication, of having this maybe vacation just sitting there. And it all comes down to one single day, August 28th, the next appointment, the day they'll finally get the answers.
And the first result comes in, and it is the best news you could possibly imagine. The molecular result is 0. 0. Not a single detectable trace of the disease. It's a clean slate. I mean, what an unbelievable moment of victory after fighting for a year and a half.
And it doesn't stop there. The good news just keeps rolling in. The chimerism result? 98.26% full donor cells. That basically confirms the new immune system from the transplant is totally in control, doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's the 1-2 punch of perfect results.
And really, it wasn't just one or two good things. It was like an avalanche of good news. Those supercritical tests? Perfect. The routine blood work? Great. The new therapy? They're handling it just fine. Even a lung function test came back good. It was just a day of pure, overwhelming relief.
But even right there, in that moment of pure celebration, the way the diary author reflects on it is so real. They call it a beautiful milestone, and it absolutely is, but they immediately follow it up with the reality that, hey, this isn't a guarantee that it's gone forever. The fight never really truly ends. The fear might shrink, but it never completely goes away.
And that's what we're left with, isn't it? This really powerful question. This diary, it's not just about a medical journey, it's about something we can all relate to, the struggle to live with uncertainty. It makes you wonder, how do you find peace? How do you find joy when you know the finish line keeps moving? How do we learn to live fully in those beautiful milestones, even when we know the road ahead is never a sure thing?